So we were discussing the list now, right? So where we added and we try to iterate and do stuff. So all the methods, right, which you have seen for collection item or list, right? All the internal methods will apply even for our generic collection items like remove. You wanted to remove, right? Let's say I want to remove 400, right? So when you run it, you will see among all the details we have added, we can remove the specific data for right. So this is how we can actually do the generic specific data type restriction. So the next one, let's go ahead and see two very important generic collection items: stack and queue, right? So stack and queue comes under generic collection items as data type restriction is there, right? Because we follow or we use stack and queue for specific functionalities, right? Let's see. These two contains a special methods to follow some patterns, right? So when it comes to stack, we know the stack is something which always follows last in first out. LIFO model, which is last in first out. So whatever we add data, it will be saved in a form of array internally, and whenever you want to pull the data, right, then you can actually pull the last added object. That's a LIFO, which is stack. Similarly, when it comes to queue, the pattern or a model which you'll be looking is first in, first out, LIFO, right? Which is a queue principle. Now these two principles we know, but let's see how this works in our collections. Fine. So let's go back here. Let me create a new class. Remove this. So right click on this and say add class. Let me call it as a stack sample. See, everywhere I'm not giving any name like to match with the keyword. That's why for every keyword, like let's say stack, I add something called sample kind of. That's why you can see even the project name multi-threading sample, like controls sample. Oops, I mean, so that you don't get confused with controls actually, right? So let's use the generic one. So here let's go with static void main string array. Fine. So we have console.readline. Right. Now here we have something called stack. Right. So where, let's say I'm going to take something called integer. Okay, let me call it as stk is equal to. Now there are three special methods in stack, right, which we have to follow in order to get a LIFO model. First one, in order to add data, we have internal method called push. Okay, this will actually add data to stack. And in order to take out the data, we have something called pop. So these two are to add data and remove data from stack. And if you use this, this will automatically follow the LIFO principle, where you're going to have a last in, first out. Right? And then we have one last method called peek, peek. So this one will it's a read only to give us what's the next element which we can pop out. It will give you information if you want to check, okay, if I want to get the next element, what is the next element value? So that's your peak. So with this you can actually check whether the next element, whatever we have, is a right one or not. That's your peak. Fine. So now here, let's use this and let's see how the stack works. Go back here, and now let's say I'm going to add some data. First, I'm going to add stack dot push. Right? You can see the push item. Let's say I'm going to take 100. I'm going to take the same for. Let's say I'm going to take some 4 items. Let's say 200. I'm taking the sequence so that we know which one is the first one added, which one is the last one added. Now you can see we have 100, 200, 300, 400. So among all these, you can see that 400 is the one which we have added at the last. Right? Now let me show you stk dot something called peak. Now this you can see, this you can see here returns the object at the top of our stack without removing it. Now the peak method is just read only. It will just pick the topmost one which we are going to get. What is the topmost one here? 400. So sorry, here you're going to get console dot write line of peak. See, when I run this program, you'll be able to see 400, which means the first element which you are going to get out is 400, right? But it is not actually removing it. See, you actually do peak any number of times. Let's say I'm going to say peak once, twice, and thrice, right? It will give you 400. It will just give you a latest element which you can have. Now let's use something called console.writeline stk.pop. So I can see the properties of pop here. Right? It says removes and returns the object. Right? So which means, so when you say pop, what it will do? It will return this 400, whatever is the last added, right? It will return the latest and it will remove it. Okay. So after pop, let's do peak, which means, okay, when I do pop, which means it will get this 400, take it out. So when I take it out, what is the next last added element? It will be 300. So when you do peak after that, then it will give you 300 kind of. So I run it. You can see first peak is 400, and then when you pop out the value, 400 will be taken out, right? And stack contains all the 3 elements, and the last added is 300. That's why you can see the next peak is 300. So this is how data is pulled out. Now let me just do pop here, right? So twice I've done. Let's do thrice and 4 times. When I run it, I will see 400, 300, 200, 100. Last in, first out, right? And whatever entered first will come out last. Fine. So that's it. This is how we normally follow the stack. And here, let's say if I do one more time, what will happen? So when I run this, now here what we are trying to do, we are trying to take the data or read the memory of stack which is not available. Now this is where you will get a fat level. It says stack empty, which means we are trying to read a memory which doesn't exist. That's why you can see it gives you stack empty. Fine. It's always better to check and pop up. Like I can check here saying if my stack stk dot count, right? Maybe see all other methods you do have still, right? If it is greater than 0, then okay, fine. So now you will see no issue because you are checking whether if count is more, then pop up, otherwise don't. So it will give you, this is your stack principle, how it works, right? Similarly, we have queue. So let me just put a break here so that we can discuss on queue. So for queue, again, we have three different methods using which we can get the functionality of FIFO. Which is first in first out. First one is NQ, second one DQ to remove, and then peek again. NQ is to add nodes, DQ is to pull out the nodes. When I say pull out, which means whatever data you enter it first will be taken out first. Okay, internally it will maintain that array pattern. And then you have peek. Peek is to get what is the next element which you are going to get out. That's okay. Fine. So let's see how queue works. Let's go back here. Let me call queue. You can see the class queue. And yeah, now here you have data. So let's say I'm going to take some long this time. Let me got as QU is equal to new queue. So here what we're going to do, first we have to add. For adding we have NQ. So where you can see you can add a number of digits. So let's say I'm going to add some 1000, right? And let's take some more. Let's say I'm going to take 5 elements now. 2000, 3000, 4000, 5000. So these are the values I'm mentioning. Right? So these are the complete set of elements I've taken. Now, first let's check the peaks. What's the first element which you are going to get? Which is QU dot peak. Now, this peak will give you what's the first element which you are going to get. Now here, we know that Q, when we are working with Q, which means always the first element, whatever you are adding, will be the first element will be getting out. But let's see. When I run my program, you can see 1000. 1000 is the one which I'm going to get out. That's okay. So let's start doing DQ it. So I'm going to say console.writeLine of QU dot. You have something called DQ. You can see removes and returns the object at the beginning of your queue. That's a DQ. Open and close that. Now again, so here you can see this is your DQ, right? Where we are actually taking out the data. Let me just close this, right? So now once I DQ, which means it will remove the first element added, right? So after this DQ, let's say if I try to do the peaks, right? Now it will give us the next element which will be removed. You can see first DQ will take out 1000, right? And then you have peak, which will get, right? Which will get the next element which we are going to get out. Now you can see that is a 2000, right? And this 2000 will be at a peak. Fine. Now this is what we have for data to add from first to last. So here let me just take out this DQ and let's do it for, let's say 5 times better, right? Now definitely when you do 5 times, like 1000 which was added first, 2000, 3000, 4000, 5000 first in first out, where your stack will be last in first out, 4, 3, 2, 1. Right, so this is the principle of your queue and stack here, which is a generic collection entity we have, which we normally take it as a. Now here again, if you try to DQ again, right? DQ or do a peak, whatever. I mean, if you try to read a memory which doesn't exist again, it will give you a fatal exception. and it will not continue in the sense this is going to crash your program. So you can again check it whether your queue contains data or not. Dot count, let's say property is greater than 0. Sorry, right? If it is greater than 0 only, then dequeue. So this is how we can actually get the data and dequeue. So this is how we can actually get the details of stack and queue, how it actually works in this. Right. So that's one of your generic collection items you have. Right. And one last collection item, which is kind of very important one we normally take up, is dictionary. We have something called dictionary, right, which is used to save key and a value pair, which means as of now we have seen that wherever we have actually added an element, it is only one element we have added, right? Where you can see it's one data we are adding. But we have a special kind of collection item called dictionary, where you can save something called lookup type of data. If, for example, you want to save student ID and name, one, right, student ID, right, maybe let's say 2, let's say you want to add, let's say right, 3, let's say you want to add Rahul, right, I mean, and so on, for example. Now here, if you're adding data, you need a key and a value. For example, it's a simple lookup where you want to get the data quickly based on your ID. Now this will actually give you the ID for your lookup. So this type of data we can actually save using our dictionary. Let me show you how. So let me create a new class here for this last collection item, which we have. Like you can say add a class. Let's add this class and say static void name of a string array. We have a console.readline. Now here I'm gonna say dictionary, you can see, and here you have to provide two data types, right? Let's say a key I'm providing int and value I'm providing string. It can be, right? I can provide any data type I want. It both can be string, both can be int, both. It's up to your requirement you have, right? So here this is, let's say, students, right? Let's say I'm going to say students is equal to new. Fine. So here while adding, again you're going to add. Now here while adding, you will get two values to get added. Let's say 1, as we said. Let's say I'm going to say 1 data. Right. So this is one set of data we are adding, which contains two different values. One we normally call it as a key, and other we call it as a value. Similarly, we have students dot add again 2 comma. Let's say I want to take Sid, right, again. So you can go on and add 3 comma. Let's say I said Rahul, right. So this is how we normally add the data into, right. So if you want to read data, let's say console.writeLine reading, which means let's say students of. Now here we are not going to give any index or anything. Now why do we use with the data itself? We can understand why do we use this. Now tomorrow, let's say, I mean, we don't want to continuously talk to database and say what is the name of student ID 3, what is the name of student ID 1000, what is the name of a student with ID 2000. No, what we'll do, maybe we'll keep all the details in my cache or my dictionary, right? And then whenever it is required, I'll read, which means students of. When I say this, it's a key out of word. Let's say I'm going to provide 3. Don't get confused with this ID. It can be, let's say, 100, let's say 200 and 300. It's not actual indices we are using, okay? So let's say I'm going to say 300 for example, which means I'm providing a key and this will give me the value of it. Right? When I run this program, you can see Rahul will come. Right? Because I am actually taking up the key of Rahul. Now, similarly, if you want to iterate, so iteration is like, special in dictionary. So you have a class called key value pair here. You have to use a type called key value pair. If you remember in for each, we have used string, we have used integer, we have used long, we have used any specific things, right? Now here, specifically for dictionary, you have to go with a key value pair. And you have to provide what is the key? It's integer comma value string. Now which means each item in this dictionary is a key, which means a set of data, right, which contains key and value. That's why we will use this class, which represents each data in this dictionary, and collection items is students. So here I'm going to say console.write and see this item is of type key value pair, which means I can have item dot, you have two parameters, key, let's say I'm going to use this space item dot write. Right, these are to read a key and read value. You can see all the values 100, 200 and there. So this is how, if you want to iterate, you can iterate your dictionary and you can get the data of yours. So this is how we normally get the actual details out of a. Right. So this is about the collections we have, right? And with this, we are done with our C#.NET.